characteristics of the person and this industrial graph that might show abuse or physical violence is acceptable. Whenever I perform a menacing reading, I do more than merely read for clients. I also consider the relationship itself, the natal charts of each individual partners, due to the fact that if you enjoy a wonderful rapport with someone, but you lack a decent relationship with oneself, you're experiencing emotional problems or psychological problems, if you're suffering from anger that will spill over into your partnership and anything positive, your chemistry will be wrecked by your problems. So when I read to, I include a brief synopsis for my customers of their own birth charts, which I think having the greatest influence on their relationship, all right? Thus, in accordance with the birth of Blueface on the internet January 20th, 1997, just before Capricorn-born Aquarius was born in Losi. Don't have any time in Los Angeles. California Christian Rock was created for him at birth in Baltimore. Maryland on March 14th, 2000, I don't know when she was born. Therefore, rather than concentrating on the homes, I'm only examining the planet's elements and their communication style with one another when we're addressing relationships involving domestic violence tend to observe Pluto, Venus, and Mars. All right, Pluto is male energy and Mars is Venus, and control are what we want. So regarding Blueface, I can see in his personal chart, which he possesses the Gemini moon/Cancer. Yes, it's at 12 p.m. and 29 degrees in the I'm not sure what time it was, but it was afternoon, born, and he's Saturn square, which is an Aries. Saturn doesn't actually exist at 2 degrees. Operate effectively with Aries. It's crippled here. His Saturn is crippled. He squared his moon. If nothing else, he's emotionally cold and remote. He is emotionally aggressive at worst, and isn't at all concerned about anyone's sentiments because during his childhood, no one really was sensitive to his emotions. Thus, a moon, according to the square Saturn aspect, this person who is practical, who is cold, and who is stoic, and who is overly sentimental or not. This person is sufficiently emotional, who manipulates others with their emotions. Due of Saturn's focus on dominance, restriction, control, decay, correct? This individual utilizes people who emotionally retreat to control others to keep his moon at home. In Cancer, that is beneficial to emotional communication and relationship. However, when it's the manifestation of emotion when squaring Saturn, the relationship might turn oppressive and abusive and powerful. There's unwillingness to integrate one's feelings with their aim to dominate others, folks. Here is someone who might have experienced tension in their relationship due to the fact that Saturn is the father and the mother I wouldn't be is the moon. Shocked if the father of Blueface and mom was in an abusive relationship. Abuse can be emotional, physical, or verbal, etc. So please don't tear the moon square. Saturn is not a reliable sign of unemotionally satisfying and gratifying. This association is contained in his chart, struggles to communicate his feelings, his sentiments and dislikes for others to express their emotions, or he might act in certain ways to elicit a response and react to him in a manner that permits him to keep things under control. So I'm going to irritate you and say hurtful things, purposefully to elicit a response from you and reply in the manner that I desire, so that I can manipulate you, correct? Additionally, that is the moon square, Saturn blue. The moon opposite Mercury is also visible on the face chart, and there is a discrepancy between the thoughts, feelings, heart, and 2 distinct areas are in the mind, so that he can say and act in ways that are not consistent with his actual feels once more. This is manipulation. Someone who might end your relationship or express their lack of concern for you, about you, since they're curious about how you respond to them. And here's how to gain authority over you by regulating their feelings. But Blueface might say unintentional things in an order to harm or manipulate someone. And I'm talking about dominating and suffering. When Saturn enters, the Saturn is squaring Mercury in this drama. Well, this individual is actually harsh, frigid, and violent in their communication, as the goal is control is not love. It is not support. This is strictly not an affirmation about dismantling someone in order to manage them. And this seems excellent negative, but these are square features. Moreover, he is still quite young and hasn't. Have you made it to Saturn's return yet? Consequently, he is somewhat immature in terms of his emotional displays, which is why the cause of his public altercation with, right, his girlfriend. I wouldn't be taken aback if he uttered awful things to her to set her off. So let's examine at 4 degrees. Mars Blueface has Mars. This would make this a square in terms of Libra. Blueface has Mars square due to the moon mode. This individual can be emotionally abusive, however. A moon square is someone you know. can be irritable or emotionally harsh. This individual desires what they desire when they're ready. And if you're not, give it to them, and they will do it. Anything that emotionally appeals to you in order to a particular kind of reaction to you, which is either comfortable or familiar to them. Consequently, if you are dating him and you don't follow his instructions, if he wants something done, he will do it. Anything that compel you to either obey his wishes or to respond and react in such a manner that he feels secure, cozy, validated, and cared for. Additionally, with Mars involved, I wouldn't take aback if emotional assault, as I wouldn't be shocked if he knew me. If his mother mistreated him emotionally, him or the setting in which he lives at home was really violent as a child, and his mother might have been rather severe and punisher to shield them from that surroundings that remove some of the warmth and care from their relationship, on which I'm speculating on the chart's elements. Am I correct? Actually, that's what occurred. But it is Venus is also shown on a blue face. I would like to say squaring Morris, Capricorn is squared by the element, sign, and there is a 9, but not necessarily a degree. Degree difference between Venus and this square Mars person is violent and loves violence. Venus is entangled with violence. Venus conjuncts Mars, or perhaps square Mars or Venus, which is across from Mars. This person who lacks the ability to articulate their desires in a somewhat Venusian manner, lovely, balanced and harmony there must be rivalry, struggle, and war. Regarding his style of expression, this is what he wants from his partner, someone who mistreats you to demonstrate that they look at the other and love you. This chart's features make it ideal. I've never seen an astrological graphic in which a single component operates independently correct, despite the fact that one element is merely a piece of a person's natal chart puzzle. Well, there are typically several factors that complement the one that is comparable. So the Saturn square Mercury is located across from the moon in this phase. Venus is here. Khan is not exactly on the other side of the moon, but Venus is sort of opposite the moon. People from opposite Venus having a hard time in relationships since they're never truly content with what they own due to the manner in which they received conditioning and grooming, and their mother-raised upbringing is incongruous with their desired loving partner. Your mother is not your romantic partner, spouse, but the manner in which your mother handles you have an impact on how you see things. Martel has the most, and women are right, square Venus feature, which in my view is more difficult than the moon on the other side of Venus, but both. Some factors lead to conflict between the emotional state of the individual and what they are looking for in a love companion. Venus is a beautiful, feminine, and loving planet. Moon is also fostering love among women. However, it's a distinct kind of love, isn't it? And ideally, an individual's aspirations will coincide with the manner in which they were brought up, because your mother set an excellent example for you of the type of affection you ought to be getting from your significant other. However, if back then your mother wasn't that example, almost certainly there will be an incongruity with your identity cozy. What gives you a sense of nurturing and love? And what you want in a mate. This is someone who wishes to wed a decent. They want strippers but are an old housewife, and engages in prostitution as a traditional housewife to them. The decent girl isn't particularly attractive, however, she gives him a sense of love and confirmed, yet he has cravings for women who aren't like that. So he will be unfaithful to the lady who gives him feelings, protected and cherished with women who provide him with excitement. And that gives you confusion on an emotional and psychological level, yes. The Venus square is on the blue face. Additionally, this person's Mars aspect impatient, aggressive, envious, and abusive in connections right now if he lacks confidence due to the fact that he was single. He lacks confidence due to the fact that he was single. With his mom or his connection to his mother was domineering and violent and constrictive. Cold and nurturing, then that will undoubtedly spill over into his romantic encounters with his mother, and other ladies instructed him on how to handle ladies thus far. The moon is located across from Mercury. Moon in opposition to Venus, in a sense, square Mars. The moon is on Mars, and if I gaze at the moon, is positioned squarely on Saturn. This individual, however, has had a difficult upbringing. I'm not sure what occurred to him, but his mother, his family, or his home environment / he was subjected to abuse by the community, not secure. They weren't confirming, they adversely affected his emotional state and his connection to his emotions. He can be someone who is unable to communicate their pain, or who is a weakness problem and tenderness and femininity, since he was not permitted to communicate those emotions. When he was younger, he might have heard to keep from crying. Or he might not have been permitted to cry or show signs of weakness. So he detests witnessing this in others as well, because it makes him think of his own weaknesses that he was incapable of. All right, let's talk about one more thing. The Neptune is in Capricorn on a blue face. I spoke with his son about Neptune. Features. Frequently on my channel since claims he is a controlling and abusive someone in charge who makes use of emotional and psychological coercion to misuse his mind you partner. I'm only making assumptions based on the features of the chart. I'm not implying that he's a nasty individual. In other words, he has a lot of difficulties in his birth chart that might cause problems or personality disorders regarding maintaining a healthy connections with individuals, particularly women. Okay, if his mother mistreated, it would be reasonable for him to possess a violent relationship with women. Thus, Venus in Pisces is square for Christians. Christians in Sagittarius and Pluto emotionally controlling and possessive. At the very least, an abusive relationship a few weeks ago. I discussed the concept of Persephone, Hades, and how Hades' Persephone is essentially kidnapped and tricks enlisting her as a part-time spouse during half of the year. She is abducted and refuses to eat while she's with him in hell. Yet she starts to become hungry and consumes the seeds of pomegranates, which symbolize the fall as one of the 6 seasons of the year, and winter. So aspects of Venus and Pluto-Venus square is quite addictive. Venus and Pluto are conjunct. In contrast, Pluto is particularly addicting. These two individuals are continuously changing as a result of their relationship with one another to honestly discuss the suffering in both of them, like the conflict. This is also really intense, not intense. Nearly tantric sex are these two. Individuals are transformative, cannot get enough of Noah and each other. No amount of suffering will cause separation, perhaps something apocalyptic, or it must be awful for them to split up. And even when they do, it's highly probable that they're going to continue to reunite, even cheating on each other's partners, another with a Pluto-Venus square appearance. But this is abuse and possessiveness. This is impatience, avarice, and selfishness. Every single one of the drawbacks of A-link with Venus is evident. Square Pluto feature. But as I explained to my This Is the Sexual Attraction clients, there is a trap between them to make them relate to one another, and the manner in which they'll be capable of recovering from their interaction. Know of how unpleasant it is if they weren't drawn to the sexual mutually. They wouldn't have the chance to get knowledge from one another. And Venus's bad relationship, square Pluto's features truly demonstrate the darkest, most profound aspects of our impulses and the qualities we cherish in ourselves and our relationships. Hence, the sexual relationship is likely to keep these two individuals together until they are destroyed by fire, or until someone becomes a parent, because after they have a child, and their romance is going well, to change, and they're not going to in order to participate in some of the poisonous actions that held them together. Used to believe that if a Christian has a baby named Blueface who will grow up to grown up and anticipate a more positive relationship with him, and most certainly, he won't be able to provide if he fails to complete the task inside himself, as he has received recognition for poor conduct up to now. So there is nothing preventing him from doing what these women are what he's been doing. But the aspects of Venus and Pluto in the charties, really fervent, lustful, obsessive, transformative, domineering, violent, dark, and attractive. You know, twisted fantasy-like stuff, right? Christians have Neptune in Aquarius in conjunction. She doesn't see Blueface's sun. He is undoubtedly a corporeal manifestation of the deepest fantasies she's based on her own, projected onto him emotional or psychological requirements that might not have been fulfilled. Not enough credit is given to Neptune for wreaking devastation in the lives of most. It is ascribed to either Saturn or Mars. Although Neptune has the ability to produce deceit and illusion and a lack of confidence when it regarding a person's ego and identity, particularly when it's affecting me, I'm in an angular feature or combination with the ascending the moon, sun, or any planet specifically, wherever. Neptune is in a conjunctional aspect, square opposition that will occur, strong fears here. All right, so he might possess profound concerns regarding his identity. I'm not sure why yet. But his identity, possibly due to the fact that his mother wasn't truly supportive, or he didn't have I don't know his father in his life. Libra is where the North Node is, which would be I believe he is emotional since he squared his moon. Temperament could be interfering with his professional development, despite whatever obstacles he may be, emotionally preventing him from achieving greater success than he might be. To give you a quick summary of that, but with Neptune appearing on his sun, I wouldn't be in a connection with shocked to learn that he was quite insecure if he was naive and extremely sensitive to condemnation. Despite the fact that he is abusing someone he does not wish to be referred to as out on his, he'll most likely attack if you confront him about his mistreatment. Neptune is now on his sun with. She is a Christian with the sun in Pisces, which would explain why they're soul-linked, because the Pisces sun is comparable to having the sun and Neptune in conjunction. So they may be able to relate to one another's fears. Christians also have the moon in Cancer, which might be, depending on the same indicator as Blueface's, what time did he get born? So I don't see many difficulties. However, I do perceive an issue with the Venus and the moon are squared. This demonstrates emotional mismatch once more. Blueface's preferred method of communication is Venus, and Christians are at odds. Emotional requirements acceptable. She must feel supported and cared for. Sorry, it's not a secure and safe since square is in opposition. Something like this toggling or this feedback loop of him being really caring for her and then retreating. I can see how he uses his feelings to manipulate her. That's taking place. So in a minute, he's like caring for her and providing her with everything she needs to feel stable and protected. And when he wishes to set her off, exhibiting an emotional reaction that gives him a sense of security and validation. In their partnership, he might remove his feelings for her in order to obtain her to react to him in such a manner that people claimed to have gotten into a fight. That's something they do in public frequently as a result of his games with her with Venus's opposite in this regard, moon. Therefore, there are occasions when Blueface is incredibly friendly and pleasant. And steady for Christians, however, when circumstances become too chummy or too at ease, he may say or do things to make her feel uneasy over the connection. I'm paying more attention to Blueface since he's numerous difficulties in his chart. But they might occasionally switch roles 2 times since energy can be substituted for due to the fact that you are dating. The planetary energies can be used by 2 persons. Switch between them based on the transits as well as additional elements in their charts, all right? So I don't have Mars in Aries as Christians have. Do you know someone who does Mars in Aries? Dislikes fighting or will give up from combat. Despite the fact that the Mars in Aries doesn't initiate conflict and doesn't want to battle, they'll get it done. Individuals. So I wouldn't be shocked if Blueface purposefully causes Christians to rebel against him indeed. I wouldn't be shocked if Blue things that face does and says to urinate, she's a Christian with a square moon in Mars, a broad orb, and an aspect. Therefore, this is an impatient person, and this is someone who isn't afraid to battle, and this individual can also be emotionally abusive. But in this circumstance, I believe that Christians are being set off by Blueface due of his, this is what his chart shows. Blueface due of his, this is what his chart shows. Throughout her early years, therefore in this connection, there is a chance that she convincing herself to remain with someone who is extremely violent and at least domineering, and she might not possess this insight or comprehension till roughly the next 4 to 5 years. I have no idea how long these have been dating. And at just 22, she recently turned 22, so her life isn't very long. Experience or a great deal of background for assessing the health of relationships for her or not, and that is the current situation. To keep her confined to this poisonous circumstances until anything truly negative occurs or they become parents, as long as nothing changes between him and her. Seeing him purely for his benefit attributes, and she will minimize his adverse traits. And as a last thing, as this is a brief overview of Blueface's as a Christian's Mars, Neptune is square. Relationships between Mars and Neptune can be cruel or delusional. Mars is all about virility and masculinity. Neptune's passion, confidence, and Neptune's opposite is approximately femininity by diffusion and dispersion energy deterioration. Therefore, when you have things in a square, which is quite kinky intercourse in which each partner has the opportunity to give and receive sexual vitality in a manner that is really fulfilling for both couples, regardless of they can play out their imaginations, accompanied by this square. Although their illusions are short-lived and fueled by their dynamics toxicity, hence this is similar to makeup sex. And there's a battle for dominance in their sexual relationship that Blueface, in my opinion, gets incredibly aroused by the domineering Christian manly vitality that could enable him to behave more obediently in the bedroom, in which he is unable to be in his typical daily encounters having discussions with her due to he might not have been permitted. There might have been limitations on his sexual expression. So it could be a means off for him to convey his more vulnerable feminine aspect that he might not experience at ease outside the bedroom. You're familiar with many macho men who abuse women prefer Those who are sexually, I've observed this a lot lately. And I'm not making any assumptions regarding in terms of his sexuality. I believe Blueface is a masculine heterosexual. However, I believe that his actions in the bedroom area, apart from his public behavior or at a gathering, or in the streets, what transpires beyond the bedroom is distinct from what's taking place within for him in the bedroom. This person is someone who may experience insecurities regarding they demonstrate their manhood by being abusive, domineering, and controlling outside the bedroom. But inside, he is somewhat more exposed in the bedroom, and I believe that you're a Christian. Is more macho when she's in bed. Aries and Mars in conclusion. This relationship is quite poisonous, of course, but I believe that the majority of the toxicity is on. He might be having problems with Blueface's segment, his manhood, or struggles with being more in tune with his feelings' feminine aspect. And he might attempt to overcompensate by mistreating him partners. I'm not familiar with his background. I'm not sure how often he's been in such a circumstance. But I wouldn't be shocked if it wasn't the initial instance, and that won't be the final instance. Since he is 25, his Saturn back in 2 or 3 years. Saturn's entry into the Aries, and more than most certainly, something will occur by then that will compel him to mature and exhibit greater maturity and responsibility in his relationships with women are now fine. Many Christians are not wallflowers people. Believe that women in Pisces are all women in the aquarium. Resemble Erykah Badu. They are gentle, modest, and they're weak, feminine, and forgetful. Pisces features 2 suns, a yin and all right. The 2 Pisces fish can symbolize the emblem of yin and yang of some are both masculine and feminine. Pisces who exhibit extreme femininity. Additionally, some Pisces are like, why are Angela Stanton King and Tasha K? Because Pisces and Aries are adjacent. While a large number of Pisces have personal Venus, could be one of the planets in Aries. They might also have Mercury Aries. From Pisces, Mars is in the 2nd house, and the 2nd house belongs to us, our possessions, our self-worth. Many Pisceans have a great deal of confidence in themselves. Particularly, the men and women face difficulties in this area as a result of Jupiter's and Neptune's energies are not always explicitly male. So generally speaking, masculine water signs have greater problems compared to female water indicators in terms of demonstrating their masculinity and personality, balanced femininity, which is why a lot of water symbol, men, particularly overcompensating. Scorpios they believe that's what makes them more manly, yet many of them don't like to act like a watery, emotional woman, indications that many of them honor the Aryan men's bravery and self-assurance, and Sagittarius and Leo males. So regarding Christians, she's not a punk. Wallflower. I doubt she's initiating these fights. But I believe she's going to complete them. And she won't allow no one to treat her disrespectfully or place their hands on her without even retaliating. It's not about losing if she loses. It's regarding fighting back. I believe that Christians feel stronger when they see a blue face, like a lady. Despite his attacks, he provides her with the chance to fend off several Mars and Aries. People adore I have Mars in order to be able to fight back. 3rd house. I enjoy a good argument, can dispute and debate with others all day long. Lengthy, which is why I decided not to, because in the end, it's a waste of time. So yes, I was expected to create a north node for my Mars-Uranus combination, yesterday's Taurus video. But something advised me not to do it. I'm not sure why, continue to put off that certain comments, but I'm urged to hold off, and I must follow my intuition. What I'm going to say is that there is the explanation for why the US government is permitting the arrival of all these people into the US. It's not simply about providing refuge to these individuals and the American dream. There's more going on there than that agenda. Of course it is, because you are aware that the agenda will destabilize the planet and this nation, generally speaking, as many locations are purposefully burned down and firebombed to evict people from the land in order to in the military. Corporate developers can extract resources from the land and construct resorts from that area in order to obtain additional income from the working class, which is among the developing economies in South America and Africa. But I'm going to discuss something in further detail later. I'm hoping to be able to deliver this, if you'd like, later today or tomorrow to get a personalized astrological reading. You can visit mindabelief.com and complete the order form and make a cash payment. Stripe or the app. I'll spending most of the weekend wrapping up purchases that have been made over the previous few days. Thank you so much for your support. Eagerly await your remarks. Folks, please subscribe, like, and share, and I will talk to you shortly. I don't know anything about them at the moment. Connection, since I essentially stay distant from the artists that came after 1990.